Muncher.
Guys, here we are. It's Endgame day. It's happened. 1 year it took, but it's happened.
It's done. It's done. The Endgame is done.
We are post the Endgame now.
Yeah.
So we all went to morning shows. It's fresh in our heads.
Yep.
I'll give the floor to all of you because I'm just it's shock. I haven't absorbed it properly. Too much happened. It was too different from what I expected. So why don't we just go around? Virat, kick us off. First reactions. One line. What's your reaction?
So I was really thrilled. It was sort of what I expected. A little bit disappointed, but that's okay, I guess.
Okay, let's dig into that later. Vikram?
I'm actually pretty impressed by how well these guys managed to sort of conclude the three phases that they were doing. I didn't have high hopes in terms of them being able to pull this off, but I think the Russo brothers and Marvel as a whole did a pretty good job, man.
So first thing to clarify, this is going to be a complete spoiler discussion.
Yeah, man, we need to. I can't keep anything in any longer. So I'm glad we're doing this because it's all going to come out. There's a lot that needs to be discussed.
Okay, great. So it's a spoiler discussion, but I want to stick to broad thoughts, guys, here. I don't know how else to get all of our collective thoughts here. So I'm going to try something unique. Abhishek, starting with you, why don't we try 3 words to describe this movie?
Whatever it takes.
Okay, you went for a phrase. I like it.
That's pretty well structured, Abhishek. I'm pretty impressed, man.
Thanks.
Good job. 3 words for me for this movie. That's tricky. I think one would be satisfying, which I did not expect myself to be saying after watching this movie. I didn't have that high hopes. I feel like that's what helped me out here. Low expectations. So satisfactory for sure. Fun. It was fun. And, conclusive. How about that?
Okay.
I think for me, the 3 words that would define this movie would be compelling character arcs.
Really?
So
that's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, I started watching. So when I was in 8th standard, that's when Iron Man came out in 2008, and someone told me, "Arey bhai, ye." So at that point of time, I didn't even used to read comics, and someone was like, "Oh, bhai, Iron Man." And that was before I I used to listen to a little bit of Metallica, and there was Sandman, and then someone told me Iron Man, so I was a little interested, and then I started watching the animated cartoons, and then the movie came out, and then after that I was just hooked on. So I actually grew up with the characters and the whole MCU.
So MCU is what Harry Potter was for us, basically.
Yeah, most probably.
Kind of, but that being said, the MCU has been our 20s. It's been your teens and 20s, right? So it's not our childhood precisely, but it's definitely our nerdhood. And for me, I mean, I'm just going to go random here because I think trippy is definitely part of it because the time travel stuff is really out there, and the discussions and theories that are going to follow are going to be insane starting today. I'll go with emotional, way more than expected. I'd heard some reviews that it's emotional, but man, it floored me. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think from now on, there will be a new word that captures the feeling of this movie, which will just be Endgame. So for me, the third word is just Endgame. This will be the new standard for the movies going forward. I need to watch it again. I don't know about you guys.
We're going tomorrow.
We're going tomorrow.
Yes.
I have backup tickets for sure. Why don't we get into it, man? Again, full spoilers. Feel free. The good and the bad. Okay. One thing we loved the most. What's the top moment from the movie for us?
I'll go first, man. I think how they sort of set up that first half or that first act in terms of what they were aiming to do with time travel. We all kind of knew quantum theory had something to do with the movie before we went in, but how and what they would do to sort of achieve that and how they related quantum theory to time travel and obviously just disregarded time travels as shown in popular movies till date with, I would say, a very good explanation. I think that's my favorite part of the movie because that basically laid the foundation of whatever their missions were going to be and how they were going to tackle with everything. So I think that was pretty well handled.
Listen, if you think you have the time travel stuff down pat, then feel free to do the next 5 explained videos because I can't say that I was there, but I can see why you would love the setup. It's pretty well executed. What about you guys?
So for me, I mean, I'm not a very big Captain America fan, and seeing the 3 Captain America films, I just used to think, bhai, ye matlab क्या है ये बंदा? He just has like a shield and like that is all he has. Well, obviously he has like some skills and stuff, but he has like a shield compared to Iron Man who has like a armor, bleeding edge armor and all. And then like how they showed that he can wield the hammer that only Thor can wield. That was like some next level.
Did you like the concept or that moment?
I think that so this concept was sort of talked about in one of the previous films. I think it
Ultron.
was Ultron. So he like slightly lifts it, but he can't lift it completely.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, maybe he doesn't want to lift it.
No, just that payoff is actually pretty crazy because they have foreshadowed it.
And now they just like show. So they don't even show. And there's like a very weird edit. So he throws the hammer. Hammer goes, hits Thanos, and it comes back. And I just felt like that whole edit was sort of unconventional. Plus him lifting the hammer itself, that was just like a whole different experience.
Actually, it reminded me of Rey in Force Awakens when the lightsaber whizzes past.
And then also Thor's reaction to that. He's like, starts laughing. He's like, I knew it. I knew that he was worthy all along. Basically, right. That was pretty cool. Yeah, the Thor hammer sequence, pretty
Thor
awesome.
like double hammer wielding.
That was also cool when Thor and Captain America are fighting in the last battle, and then Captain America has the Stormbreaker, and Thor is like, you take the small one.
Yeah. Man, this movie is pretty funny.
I think another super cool scene or funny scene in the movie was Cap fighting past Cap. I think that fight was pretty cool. And then past Cap's like, I can do this all day. And Future Cap's like, yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that was hilarious.
Yeah, this movie was hilarious, man. But that fight actually reminded me of what I love the most, which is how much this movie just doesn't care of letting newbies in. It's like, if you watched all the Marvel movies, then this movie is for you. That's when you get the juice of this movie. Because if you haven't, then good luck trying to follow what's happening. And that is like rewarding fans at a whole different level. Like, you have a blockbuster and you still make it for super nerds. I guess the closest something has done that is like probably Lord of the Rings. Like super blockbuster, but only super fans get it. And this, it treated its audience like the fans they are, which I loved.
So, I'll just like to put this here. Before like today, I saw all the
MCU movies.
So on and off, like one day I would like watch 2 movies, then I would just like skip 2 days, then watch like 1 movie. And I basically watched the movies that I hadn't seen or like the movies that I want to revisit. And Ant-Man and the Wasp was one movie that I left, but I had seen the after credit scene, so I sort of understood what happened. And then I saw the trailer, so I like...
But how crazy is that? If you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, in fact, if you haven't seen the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp, you won't understand how Scott Lang comes, what he's even talking about. That's crazy, dude. In fact, the movie relies on the release of Captain Marvel, which I was kind of glad about. And man, the confidence with which they've done it. But anyway, Abhishek, we still need to hear one thing you love the most.
So, I loved Pepper Potts' suit.
Oh, yeah. I didn't expect that.
Entry is like real badass.
That was so unexpected, though.
Yeah.
Like, out of nowhere, they're just like, let's just throw everyone in this. Everyone we can think of. Everyone who's ever been part of a Marvel movie. And I didn't expect her to be in a suit, like, fight ready.
But he was making it for her, remember? Early in the movie? Like, we didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a memento.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was billed as, yeah.
So 5 years, he's like a recluse and he's refusing to do anything.
And she's training hard.
Meanwhile, she's training. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a cool moment too. What about any dislikes? I know we're like fangirling all over this movie right now, but it had its problems.
I have one, man. I have one. And that it's particularly the female Avengers heroes assembling scene.
Why? Why do they need that moment, man? Why can't you integrate the female Avengers? Why in Infinity War also they got the separate fight, which was like the typical, you know how in Fast and Furious there's always like that girl fight, that cat fight?
Yeah.
But in this they made it like one moment and Captain Marvel didn't even need those people. That was the worst
That was the
part.
whole point. So Captain Marvel comes and they're like, oh, we'll help you. And then one comes, the other comes, the other comes. And they're like, oh, who's missing? Okay, we'll throw Wasp in there. Everyone's good to go. They literally are distractions for a scene or two, but Captain Marvel still does what she was originally going to do.
But I feel like that scene made sense because then like whatever we are seeing is just like guys fighting, dudes fighting, and then they just have this one scene where they have all the female characters, all the female heroes, and they aren't fighting amongst themselves, they're like fighting in a team.
But don't you think like the female hero or females in general were well represented. Like they had their fight scenes. It's just that the female characters obviously don't outnumber the male characters, but it's not like they.
I mean, in Black Panther, the entire Dora Milaje is female, right?
Yeah.
So when you see them fight, it's not like the females only fight the females. But you know what, guys? There's 4 guys in here. We don't have a female perspective. It's not, as Brie Larson said, for a different movie. Maybe it's not made for us.
I guess, yeah. But that's the one. That's the one that made me cringe instantly.
Okay, what about you guys? Any dislikes? Any one thing you dislike?
So one thing I sort of didn't like or didn't approve was that these guys. So Thor, he should have like killed Thanos in the first film, and then we wouldn't be like doing this today. But he didn't. And then now when he finally got the chance to kill Thanos, Thanos is like a old man living in like a hut doing like some farming and stuff. He's like cooking his own food. He could probably like be the next Gordon Ramsay. He's like cooking with Thanos or some shit. And these guys just like show up in his house. They like break into him and they're like, "हाँ भाई, क्या कर रहे? अभी तो you're like weak, so we'll just kill you." And they're like, "हाँ भाई, हमने मार दिया Thanos को."
Not everybody wants to kill Thanos. It's just Thor who
it's only
loses
Thor,
it.
yeah. And even so he's giving some information. He's like revealing something कि हाँ भाई, where the stones could be or whatever. And Thor is just like, "हाँ भाई, I'll just cut his head off."
Yeah, but Nebula says that he's not a liar, and Thor is like, you know what, I believe him, and I just want to avenge, and he does it. To me, I didn't dislike that as much as I was just like a WTF moment for me.
So even Tony Stark made sort of a joke around this. They were like, why aren't we pre-Vengers? Why do we like wait for things to happen and then like avenge that?
Yeah, because the comics were named that, and there's no other option. Abhishek, what about you? Any dislikes?
So the build-up story, like it's just like Godfather. So Godfather first part is like so damn long, and the first.
Are you complaining about the Godfather?
I am not complaining, but the thing is,
are you using Godfather to make a pro point about this movie, or I don't get it? What are you doing?
No, so the Godfather's level is like way too high. So they use just the first part to create the story. I mean, to build the story, and then they show the main thing. Like, yeah, this is the Godfather. Like, people follow him for a particular reason.
Right.
So in Avengers, like they just build up the story, and it was like not on the point. So we all knew like they were talking about quantum realm. They just extended the story. It was like they just wasted like 1 hour.
Oh.
They could have like used it for like some different thing, like
the first act.
Yeah, the first act.
Got it. I think the first act was the strongest in the movie. Honestly, I think the third act was so rushed. It's like super quick, just like fight, this happening, running, this guy died. It's just so much.
There's no way the first act was the strongest. I mean, if you have to break down the acts, the first act is them deciding what to do and the Tony Stark coming back. Second act is the time heist. And third act is the all-out battle.
And the first also presents the emotional side of things. These guys dealing with the ramifications, the whole 5 years later part. I think all that stuff was pretty powerful and very non-Avengery or MCU-ish, which I really liked.
They seem to be dealing with it just fine, to be honest.
Sort of the first.
No?
Captain America holding like these AA meetings, like therapy sessions, and Nat crying there.
Because I guess they cut to 5 years, So if they showed like 1 year, 2 years, that's when things would be the most messed up. 5 years, it's like, all right, cool. Like
none of them were dealing with it fine. Tony Stark's retired in a lake house somewhere in the country. Like no one's fine. Thor,
malnourished Tony.
Thor, how's Thor fine? Thor's thrice his size, just chugging beers.
Which brings me to the one thing I dislike. I respect them, but they committed to Fat Thor.
I loved it. I love the commitment to Fat Thor, yeah.
Yeah, I respect the commitment. I don't like it, but I respect it. But just the fact that Thor was pretty much the hero of Infinity War. And so it was really fascinating because literally if Thor had sliced Thanos' head off and Infinity War was just one movie, we would have been satisfied with that movie. We would have been like, look at this. Thor is the new hero of the Avengers. It's not Tony Stark anymore. Perfect movie. And then to reduce him to this, like literally there are points when he should be killing him. He has Stormbreaker, he has Mjolnir, he has like the God of Thunder power. It doesn't do jack shit. So they underpowered Thor. That I didn't like at all.
I think, like in terms of the 5-year arc, it made sense because he was just like his spirit was completely broken. He was like this weakened guy.
When you show the 5-year weakened arc, like you show Tony, you're supposed to bring him back. And dude, we discussed this. The number one scene in Infinity War for many of us was the Thor entry.
Yeah.
Bring me Thanos.
Yeah.
And now he's like, bring me Budweiser. Yeah. That's so lame, man. The fact that they committed to it is crazy. And I also thought on some level that he'll just go Thunder mode and just get instantly shredded. Like he'll just lose all his weight through thunder somehow.
And the only thing that happened was his beard got braided.
I was actually expecting that he would be wearing like a fat pack, and this would happen what you said, and his fat would go and he would just like become all like
instantly the thunder would cut his hair also.
Yeah.
What do you think, this is a comic book movie, guys?
Exactly, man. It clearly wasn't.
So what we discussed about the first act, I think the best part about this was that the whole first act, it didn't feel like we are watching a film where the heroes are already established. हमें पता है कि हाँ भाई अच्छा ये आयरन मैन है, ये उड़ सकता है, ये कर सकता है, ये थॉर है, ये बिजली बुला सकता है, conjure कर सकता है बिजली. But obviously we knew that these guys can do all of this, but they were like how it happens in a video game. They'll show you all the powers. Like if you reach level 100, you will get this. You'll get like the strongest armor. You'll get like a strong sword and everything. But when the actual game starts, they take everything. You are at level 1. You have to like build up all of that.
Yeah, but they spent a movie setting it up, Virat. I mean, to be fair.
ठीक है यार, अब 3 घंटे
की $300 million setting up.
3 घंटे की मूवी है तो उसमें 1 घंटा तो उनको कुछ ना कुछ फिलर तो करना पड़ेगा.
Yeah, I think the worst example of that I didn't like, so I'm going to add on one more, is Captain Marvel appearing out of nowhere. And then just, the iconic Superman bringing a plane shot, which I think they were paying homage to like on purpose, because that's exactly what Superman looks like. When she got Tony Stark's ship, or it's not Tony's ship. Who's
I think it's
Nebula's.
the Guardians.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, well, here we go. Let's go off to the races. She's superpowered. And then they make an attempt and they fail or they kill Thanos, and then she's like, peace now. Knowing that she's going to come back, I don't know. I mean, Virat, you've seen Captain Marvel like recently, right? What do you think of how they played with the powers?
So, see, this was sort of expected कि in like first 5 or 10 minutes, Tony Stark would... I wasn't sure about Nebula, but I was sure about Tony Stark, that he would come back to Earth. Because, I mean, he is the MCU. तो उसके बिना तो ऐसा है नहीं कि वो 2 घंटे फिल्म दिखा देंगे और 2 घंटे बाद वो आ रहे हैं फाइनल बैटल के लिए.
Also, we'd seen enough in the trailer spots to know that Tony Stark's pretty much going to be in the thick of it.
And the second thing that happened was that, so ठीक है, Captain Marvel got these guys back, but after that she's just like, हाँ भाई, I'm going to beat Thanos. I am like super powerful. I'm just super powerful just because I have a movie called Captain Marvel which was released before this. I'm like, I'll beat everyone. I'll beat Thanos.
Captain Marvel goes happily to Titan 2 to fight Thanos when he has the Infinity Stones. But yet when Thanos from the past comes and fights in the Avengers compound, she can't really defeat him. Right? Like, she can't take on, without Infinity Stones, Thanos.
Straight Titan Thanos, by the way, is a badass, man.
Respect.
He's so powerful. Because they never really show his power, like, without the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, he was like granting mercy when he had the Infinity Stones in Infinity War. Because he could have killed any of them at many points and he didn't.
Yeah, he's pretty strong, man. Because these guys, like, they were triple teaming him constantly and just were getting whooped.
But in Infinity War, when the first fighting scene with Hulk and Thanos, so Thanos was not using any Infinity Stone.
He had one, but he wasn't using it.
He had one, but he wasn't using. He just kicked Hulk's butt like this.
Oh, that was without the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, I saw the scene again just to check
in Infinity War.
In Infinity War.
Didn't he have the...
He wasn't using it.
But he was wielding it, no?
He wasn't wielding it. He just, or I don't know what wielding means in this case. He had it on his glass, but he never used it. That's the point. He was just like literally punching Hulk in the face. Since we're getting deep into all these different characters here, any favorites? You guys want to pick a favorite character? For me, the winner is pretty clear. But I'll save it.
I think Cap had a pretty good arc in this movie. They did a pretty good job with it. I think Russo brothers do a really good job with Cap. So I think I'll choose Cap.
I'll just go after Abhishek.
Okay, Abhishek.
It's pretty obvious, Thanos.
Abey yaar.
That was yours?
Yeah, I was gonna say Thanos. I was reading कि ठीक है सब कोई बोले यहाँ कोई hero बोले then I'll be like no one's talking about
Both
Thanos.
you guys can pick Thanos.
Yeah.
That's fine.
ठीक है.
But why Thanos?
Did a pretty kick-ass job.
Killing everyone.
Okay. And so he came back, he came to the future, whooped almost everybody's ass. and then he got vanished. That's a different thing, but he did his best.
He's pretty badass. I
Yeah.
gotta give you that. Yeah, for sure.
I was actually expecting Thanos to win in this one also. Like after Infinity War, जितने आधे बचे 50% वो उनको भी snap करके.
No way.
Yeah, if that would have happened, it
Even
would have,
Game of Thrones doesn't have the balls for something like this.
yeah,
Forget.
but I mean, if that would have happened, that would be like really crazy because that would be just subverting what we would be expecting. हाँ भाई Avengers है जीत जाएंगे, good guys win, but that doesn't happen. That wouldn't happen.
Dude, these movies make the GDP of a small country. They don't want to go for crazy. They want to go for the big bucks here. For me, the answer is clear, guys. Iron Man, man. It's the end of Iron Man. How could you not like him in this movie? I mean, he did everything he could. He got malnourished. He pulled a Christian Bale, which I'm sure was CGI. And when he came back, he had his whole arc. He had a kid. He sacrificed himself like Jesus. Something he tried in the first Avengers. And also Tony Stark's, Robert Downey Jr.'s acting, man, just keeps getting better and better. Like, he is so the character. And now we have to say he was so the character. It's the end of an era. It's the end of, like, that's what defines this era of the MCU.
That's definitely true. And I think we've just generally been spoiled with Downey's acting.
We really
just
have.
take it for granted. He's a pretty good actor, man.
Especially in these particular situations, right? Like, in this day and age with MCU movies, what does it mean to be a good actor? He has to act in a helmet cam. He has to show his expressions. I remember that one scene when Thanos is finally stabbing him. And like just the expressions he has when he gets stabbed, like, you know, it's not that he's almost afraid and he's scared that he's lost and he's worried about like Earth and all that stuff. I see all of that in his acting, and he elevates the genre, man. Or again, past tense, he elevated the genre. Rest in peace, Tony Stark.
Rest in peace. Sacrifice himself like Jesus, just like you said. Yeah.
Tony Stark is like a godfather. He's just giving things in all the movies. Like in second Iron Man 2, he gave Rudy a Iron Man suit.
I mean, most of the technology the Avengers are using is Stark.
Avengers
also, yeah, go ahead.
Avengers essentially funded and owned by Tony Stark.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's also because this version of the MCU, the Marvel Universe, doesn't have Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four,
Yeah, that's true.
which is where most of the other things come from. They also don't have X-Men yet, which is where a lot of things also come from. So yeah, he's the big daddy right now. But this also leaves room for those guys to come in Phase 4.
Especially now after the Fox merger.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but let's just like round out talking about this movie. Do you guys have any like least favorite characters? There were some sort of no-shows, sad shows, and I'm not counting the people who just show up in the end.
Yeah, everyone who was snapped in Infinity War sort of comes back for very small roles. So I don't think we can take them into consideration in terms of, except for Spidey. I really like this one Spidey scene which we'll talk about.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Apart
Just
from
spell it
that,
out.
the Spidey scene when he just goes insta-kill, man.
Yeah.
It's the best because like when he does that, when he does the insta-kill mode in Homecoming, he just gets petrified in terms of what it is. But he has a gauntlet in his hand and he's surrounded. And he's like, insta-kill. That was amazing. I think that was like by far the one best scene for me in the movie.
And then he's like, oh, I've got this. And then he's like, all the other aliens are like climbing on him. And then he's like, oh no, I haven't got this.
Yeah.
That was like classic Spider-Man humor.
What about least favorite though, character-wise? Abhishek?
Least favorite, I'll say Ant-Man. As such, his contribution towards the Endgame or to Marvel series is, or maybe Captain Marvel. Like both of these are my least favorite.
Once he gave the plan, Ant-Man didn't have much of a role, yeah.
Honestly, I didn't mind any of the characters. And this is literally for the first time in an Avengers movie where I haven't had a problem with any of the characters or their acting or their performances overall. Ant-Man was actually, I mean, as a character, he had a lot to give. He was the reason they figured out time travel could happen and everything led to that. And in terms of acting and delivery, Paul Rudd's pretty good. So I didn't mind him at all. And I think all of them did a pretty good job. So in terms of picking out one least favorite one, I would pick Captain Marvel just because she wasn't there that much and didn't have that much to offer except for like a couple of scenes at the end. So probably Captain Marvel.
For me, I think it's actually Professor Hulk. Because I think they completely wasted the fact that he is Professor Hulk. If you think about it, everything that he did in terms of like figuring out the time travel stuff, he could have just done as Bruce Banner and they would have saved a lot of CGI budget. And then everything he did as Hulk, he could have just done as Hulk. So what was the benefit of having the two of them together? It's not like he was doing something fascinating on the battlefield that Hulk wouldn't have been able to do. And also it seems like it's a way of being dumber than Bruce Banner and weaker than Hulk. You can just exist together. But you're not like the best of both worlds. You're actually like lower than each individual peak.
I thought the whole point of Professor Hulk was he has the smarts and the strength at the same time.
But they didn't show it in the movie. They never had Hulk go crazy smash in the movie, and they never had Bruce Banner actually come up with something. He's always playing like, oh, I'm not as smart as Tony Stark, but let me take a crack at it.
And the only time he showed his smarts was his version of the time travel thing, and it was null and void because Tony had already cracked it by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could say that.
And his version was the one that Tony knew would make Ant-Man come as a baby, so
yeah.
got owned there again. So that was my least favorite character. Virat, did you have any?
Not really, but I think Rhodey's character was just like sort of forced.
Yeah, what did he do either?
I think he should have been snapped in Infinity War itself, and maybe we could have like probably Spider-Man or someone else.
And he was not an original Avenger either, so it didn't make any sense for him to be like left around.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Can he walk?
He can't.
He can't walk, right?
But he has those.
He has the suit basically.
Which
Not
is
just the suit, but they had him on these high tech sort of supports, so he can walk around if he wants to.
I
Yeah.
mean,
is gifted by Tony Stark.
Of course, who else?
Obviously, when Tony Stark dies, so everyone who's been gifted something by Tony Stark showed up, like on the battlefield. So first there's Rhodey. He's like, "Ah, bhai, chalo, mera dost mar gaya, koi nahi." And then so Spider-Man comes. He's like wearing the Iron Spider suit. He's like, "हाँ, मेरे को suit दिया था Stark जी ने, तो चलिए मैं थोड़ा सा उनको अपनी respect देता हूँ." And then Pepper Potts come, and even she's wearing a Iron Woman suit. And I'm just like, अबे क्या हो रहा है? और पीछे कैप्टन अमेरिका खड़ा है with the shield. He's like, हाँ, मेरे को इसके पिताजी ने दिया था shield, तो मैं ठीक है, अब आर्मर नहीं दिया, आर्मर दिया तो मैं आके गले मिल लेता.
Oh, wait, guys, speaking of Pitaji, you reminded me. I actually did not like that sequence at all. It was way too long overdrawn. It was too corny, pulling on heartstrings.
The 1970s all.
Dude, this movie was 3 hours, man. I totally forgot that thing happened. Yeah, in 1970s when he meets Howard Stark.
The best thing of that era or like 1970s was the
Hairstyle?
No, was Stan Lee.
Oh, that's right.
That was the only thing that I really liked about 1970s.
It was just good Marvel CGI, that thing. Because I thought maybe Mark Maron played him.
No, it kind of looked like Mark Maron. But you know what I didn't like about that sequence was young Hank Pym.
Yeah, they didn't do it.
Just like really, really badly done in terms of CGI.
It's weird because Marvel's so good at the young CGI usually.
Yeah.
Wait, is that actor like actually old?
Yeah, the Hank Pym from Ant-Man, Michael Douglas.
Oh, he missed Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, you know.
I saw the first Ant-Man. So
Michael Douglas, Hank
Yeah, that
Pym.
guy. That's Hank Pym. So
I
that's
thought-
where they steal the Pym particles from, which allows them to do...
Nee, all of that I know, but I thought that actor who played...
Oh no, it was CGI.
Oh.
There was like young person CGI, whatever Marvel
Because
does.
I thought... No, so what I thought was in Ant-Man that he's actually a young actor.
No, that's
but they
his
put
actual
makeup
age.
on...
No,
Yeah,
He's
that's-
actually one of the most famous actors of all time. Okay, here we go. The question of the hour. Where does this movie rank in the MCU?
I think if Civil War was somewhere here, then...
I mean, you can rank it. You can rank it.
if Civil War
I don't know what this is.
if Civil War was on the top, then maybe Infinity War and then Endgame.
Okay, so top 3 below Infinity War. That makes sense actually. And all Russo brothers movies you named. Fascinating. Abhishek?
First is Infinity War, second Endgame, and third you can say Civil War.
Wait, so you disliked Endgame relative to Infinity War, but better than every other Marvel movie?
Yeah, because of CGI and there were a lot of characters, and it was like 3 hours. So.
My top 3 are this movie, Civil War.
Wait, is this movie on top?
No, I don't have an order. It's really tough to define an order. I just saw it, man. Cut me some slack. So it's this movie, Civil War, and I've always loved Guardians, the first one. Always.
Oh, that's the first non-Russo brothers.
Yeah. I think the first Guardians was a tremendous, tremendous movie.
Mine is Russo brothers all the way. I mean, Civil War on top. What an experience. Winter Soldier, I think, is the best like movie in the MCU. Like non-craziness, like holds up as a movie. And Infinity War, which was just an insane event and a great time in the theater. And it's very close, but Iron Man, the original, comes close for me as well. So that'll be the only non-Russo brothers that would crack the top 5, and probably this movie, but I need some time as well. So I actually rank it lower than most of you, it seems.
And it seems like it's maybe a top 5. Like, you're not even sure about it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it was a great movie, but I'm so used to just feeling this like joy, or like Infinity War was like a cliffhanger and you just want to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it, right? But I'm also dreading rewatching it because it's such an emotional roller coaster. And that's to their credit. That's great. It's great that they made this movie an emotional roller coaster. Dude, they ended 21 movies. I mean, it was going to happen. And the fact that they pulled it off is amazing.
So it's so good because people or directors, filmmakers, they struggle with closing out trilogies and saga movies and stuff like that. These guys closed out 21 movies. That's massive. And they did it in a way where none of us here are complaining in terms of how they closed it out, right? We're just really complaining about nitty-gritties here and there. So that's tremendous. That's unheard of.
I can't believe there's so much time travel in this movie and it just all was okay. Like, usually I just start just losing interest slowly, like Harry Potter or Terminator, and it just stops making sense. Looper.
Right.
And here I was just like, I just had a smile on my face, man.
Also, all the while, these guys are just shitting on Back to the Future.
Oh, that too. Yeah,
which I didn't like that much because I loved those movies growing up. But yeah, they explained why, which, again, kudos, man. Russo brothers.
Great. So that, I think, wraps up for the movie, but what do you guys think is next for the MCU, and what do you want there to be next? Any thoughts on what are you looking forward to the MCU? Because it feels like it's an end,
So I'm looking forward. So there is an animated series for Spider-Man. When there's a 4, I think Nick Fury gives him like 4 students so that he can train them.
Oh,
yeah, I think I've seen
Iron
this.
Fist, White Panther.
He forms a team, right?
He forms a team.
This is official MCU?
No, this is not MCU. This is animated.
Marvel.
I think it's called Ultimate Spider-Man or something like that.
Ultimate Spider-Man. So,
but what about in the MCU?
I'm really looking forward to whatever these guys come up with for Disney Plus, because there'll be a lot of sort of reliance on Marvel characters or MCU characters.
But Marvel, or rather the MCU, doesn't have a good history with TV shows, by the way.
I don't know, man. Russo brothers, if they just like become advisors or something, you never know. And Disney Plus is so new that Disney's going to be backing that so heavily. So I feel like there'll be a strong MCU presence. So I'm curious to see what it is, essentially.
Speaking of people being advisors, by the way, just side note, I was really happy to see Jon Favreau in sort of the closing shots.
Yeah.
The man started it all. He established the vibe to the MCU, the greatest, most successful franchise of this millennia so far. And it's cool that he got to just be there and like close it out with at least phase 3 along with those
and talk about how his daughter likes a cheeseburger just like her dad did. I think that was a good homage to Iron Man, the original movie.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm looking forward to, I like Spider-Man Homecoming, so I'm looking forward to Far From Home. It kind of sucks that trailer came out and we all knew they were coming back. Like, we knew Black Panther's coming, we knew Guardians is coming, but we didn't need to see a trailer, and this confirmed it like so much. But anyway, in terms of what's next, we have their slate. I don't remember it exactly at the top of my head. They have Inhumans coming out. They have, what's the one, the space folk? Not Inhumans, sorry. I'm blanking here, but it's like a team of like space fighters basically. Black Panther 2, Guardians 3, Thor 4 rumored, of course the Black Widow prequel. So I'm excited about all of it, but phase 4 seems like really weird right now. I don't have anything to like hold on to, which Avengers and Civil War and Russo Brothers movies used to be, but I'm waiting for the Fox deal. That might change the game.
I actually want to see them make like 4 films per year. Like just pump out 4 superhero films every year, and I now I don't want to be committed to like whole emotional arc, Iron Man or wo. I just want to go in the theater,
have a good time,
watch it in Hindi, see all of these clips, see the CGI, and just like enjoy.
So what's next for Virat is to watch this movie in Hindi and recommend it if it's good to all of us. Any parting thoughts in terms of MCU, Avengers, Endgame, the 21 movie saga ending?
Thumbs up from my side, man. Good job. I think it was very tough to sort of do what these guys did and achieve a good, or just help at least me personally get some closure in terms of these 21 movies these past 10 years. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this movie.
There are some people who are not happy with this movie, but not us.